Welcome to Art Time with Anderson, and we are going to do some drawing warm-ups, practicing drawing these shapes with our pencils. You'll see that I am starting out with an H pencil. Any H pencil will do, or any light pencil on your pencils. This is how the finalized version will look in your sketchbook. Go ahead and map out the separated boxes beforehand. There will be 9 about 2-inch boxes. This is an example of light and dark pencils in one drawing. You'll see that the under drawing has been mapped out, and then on top, coming in with your darker pencils for those final lines. The most important part of this step is to measure everything out beforehand. So I'm going to show you an example of each design. I'm starting with my light pencil, and I've mapped out the boxes evenly so that I know that those 3 are going to go at the top, and then I can do 3 underneath and underneath. Dividing this first flower into 5 segments is a really important part of the planning process. Before I move on to the actual lines of the flower, I want to do those dividing lines. Once I have moved on, I will go ahead and grab a darker pencil, such as my 4B, and I will create these nice, smooth, clean lines, creating as smooth and clean lines as I possibly can. The exterior box with a circle transcribed in it helps me to go all the way to the edges for the points of the flower while keeping it uniform. This is called an underdrawing or an undersketch. This next flower does not have the same challenge as the last flower, as it is divided into 6ths. So this time it can be divided evenly from top to bottom, and then an X in the middle, like you can see in my underdrawing with my light pencil here. For this flower, the petals do not come all the way to the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and the sort of going inside point of the petals is going to come to. And I'm going to do what I would call a little ticker right where I want my pencil and the petal to arrive at. You'll see in this next phase here where I grab my darker pencil and go ahead and drop in those final lines. And the final product, using the underdrawing as a guide so that I can get those nice, evenly spaced petals all around. Coming right up, we have the 8-pointed flower. I call it 8-pointed flower even though there are many more petals in the flower than the 8 points, because the surrounding the center of the flower, there are solidly and evenly spaced 8 petals. You'll notice that in between each one of those 8 petals, there is 1 petal peeking out, and then behind that one, there is even 2 petals peeking out. So notice the planning process for this is going to be that I have my circle that's been transcribed in a square. It might take me a few times to get this. Once I have transcribed that circle into the square, I am going to evenly divide. This is one of the easiest ones to actually do the pre-planning for, because you are going to evenly divide it in half, twice down the center, horizontally, and then you're going to give it a big old X, dividing up all the pieces of the pie. From there, you can use the tickers at the edge of each bit of the circle to know where to bring your petals to. Finally, dropping in the petals, making those decisions as you go along. You may start with doing each petal around the entire flower, dropping in those 8 petals, then dropping in the ones behind the 8, and then the ones even behind that. Or perhaps you'll find it easier to drop in 1 or 2 petals and then put the behind petals in as you are going. It's up to you how the planning process. The Tudor rose can be quite challenging. As you are coming in to draw the Tudor rose, you really want to use the pre-planning process to break down the circle. It's back to, I believe it's a 5-pointed circle now as well. And from there, you have all these sort of little ins and outs. So go ahead and use that pre-planning process and the undersketching process that you've been practicing on all the other floral designs to get the basis of the outline for the Tudor rose, using lots of tickers and circles within circles within circles until you come in with your darker pencil with the outside lines like you are following a roadmap from that undersketching that you have created. Look carefully at the example back and forth so that you are looking at the lines that you are trying to replicate, and do make sure that you turn your sketchbook around and around and around, whichever way makes your hand feel comfortable while you are sketching. Once you have your beautiful final sketch ready to go, you are welcome to come in and erase some of those under sketch lines. Because they've been drawn in a lighter pencil, they'll be quite easy to erase, and the darker sketch pencil lines will remain, creating a clean, sharp drawing. For this last flower shape, I'm going to go ahead and give you an example of how it is done and how I have planned it out. I divided up the pieces of the pie, but I did notice that there are many different points to it. The easy part about it is there is actually no center to come to, and every single flower shape, or excuse me, every single petal does come into the center, and then the little petals on the outside. This definitely emulates the elongated petals, the 8-pointed petals from before, just including many more petals going in around the circle. I will let you work this one out on your own, and happy drawing. Okay, we've arrived at the trees, and when we are getting to the trees or plant-like shapes, we are going to shift our outer shape to more of a diamond or sort of like an elongated triangle, and then using that center line to determine where the sort of like trunk or stem of this tree or leaf-like shape is. The approach for most of the trees is the same, where here we can use the ticker marks to mark down where we want the leaf shapes to be climbing out of the tree itself. Have some fun with this, as the leaf and branch shapes can be a little bit irregular. The very last drawing finally is an S shape, where I do start with that center line. However, this time I draw a curvy S shape as my underdrawing on the inside. Enjoy problem solving all of these simple shapes, and do your best to use that underdrawing step where you are sketching everything out and then grabbing that darker pencil to put in your final lines. You can use this video as a reference by stopping and starting it for each stage, so that you can go ahead and take a look at what it looks like to have the underdrawing, and then what it looks like to draw the darker lines on top.